Almost all objects that move are affected by drag. But what is drag, and how does it affect the motion of objects? To understand this, we need to recall that drag is a frictional force experienced by an object travelling through a fluid. Understand that drag depends on the speed of the object, its shape, and the viscosity of the fluid. Explain what happens as an object falls in a uniform gravitational field when there is drag. Drag is a frictional force that acts on a moving object, slowing it down. It occurs when objects are moving through a liquid or a gas. Liquids and gases are collectively called fluids. There is no drag force in a vacuum. The drag force is larger for liquids than for gas because liquids are more viscous. Drag can be reduced by using a streamlined shape. When a shape is streamlined, the fluid flows smoothly around the object. If the shape is not streamlined, then the flow around the object may be turbulent. Drag is increased when objects are dropped in more viscous liquids, like oil or wallpaper paste. The more viscous a fluid, the less easy it is for it to flow or allow things to move through it. Speed has a big effect on drag. The drag increases as the square of the speed increases. This means doubling the speed makes the drag 4 times bigger. This is why it is important that vehicles designed for speed are streamlined. To see what happens when speed increases, let's think about skydivers jumping from an aircraft. Before the skydivers jump, their speed is 0, so the drag is 0. After they jump, they begin to accelerate with acceleration g due to gravity, and their speed increases. As their speed increases, the drag on them increases with the square of the speed. The resultant force on each skydiver gets gradually smaller as the drag increases. So the acceleration is decreasing, speed is still increasing. Eventually, the drag is equal to their weight, but in the opposite direction, and the resultant force is 0. They no longer accelerate and fall with constant speed. This constant speed is called the terminal velocity. What happens when their parachutes are opened? The drag on the skydivers increases by a huge amount, and the resultant force is now upwards. This means the acceleration is upwards, so the skydivers, who are falling downwards, will slow down. A common mistake is to think that they are now moving upwards, but they are still moving downwards, only much slower. As they slow down, the drag force on them will reduce, until eventually the drag force is equal, but opposite to their weight. The resultant force is again 0, and they will fall with terminal velocity. But this terminal velocity is much slower than the previous terminal velocity. Drag is a frictional force experienced by an object travelling through a fluid, a liquid or a gas. Drag depends on the shape of an object and the viscosity of the fluid. Drag increases with the speed of an object. When an object falls in a fluid in a uniform gravitational field, there is no drag force when the object is stationary. The object accelerates. As speed increases, the drag force increases with speed squared. The resultant force decreases, so the acceleration decreases. If the acceleration becomes 0, the object falls with constant speed called terminal velocity.